So if you're looking at buying a DIY kit, know that there's a couple things you need to look out for. First, the big difference on a lot of these kits are the price. So you can get a kit for as little as 40 to 75 bucks, and some of the kits are out there that are like $300-400 kits. The big difference on these is really how they're milled. The Muslady kits you can get on eBay, Amazon. Now you can get them on Walmart, which is where I got mine. They're milled really, really quick, and they're not milled with accurate, sharp bits. So what that means is some of the areas are rough cuts. They're not sanded all the way. They're not even. Some of the neck pots aren't flush. You run into all these little things that you get with paying less amount. Even with the higher dollar amounts, you have to know how to finish a guitar properly. So that leads us into the next lesson, which is you have to have some type of fundamentals on power tools, sanding, gloss, all that fun stuff. There are plenty of videos on there. Home Depot, Lowe's has classes. I highly suggest you guys take those classes or learn from a video. And then third, take your time with these kits. There are a lot of different things that I had to learn along the way with mine. Can you slap it together? Yep. But will it play exactly like if you bought one from Fender? No. There's a lot of different things you have to know about as far as finishing, crowning the frets, getting the fretboard positioned, getting the neck positioned, making sure the scale is properly set with the bridge. There's all these little things that I had to learn that I didn't know when I bought this kit, which I'm glad I did. So just take your time with this kit from start to finish. Between all the stop and goes on that kit, it took me roughly 60 days to get all the way through to the point now where I'm just tweaking the intonation on my guitar while I play with it now. Now that the project's done, what are my thoughts on DIY kits? I love them. I think it was a great time spent doing this project. If you like woodworking, if you want to or ever had the interest on building your own guitar, I highly suggest it. There's a lot of stuff you'll learn. There's a lot of things you'll have to take your time on. And there's a couple modifications I'll show you guys on the guitar that I did. But as far as tool supplies and what I spent, I had a lot of the foundation tools, so sander, router, all that fun stuff. There's only a couple oddity tools I bought, so different files, different routing bits for the Dremel, just little things here and there, and then of course the tints, and then the oils. So that stuff cost me just around the ballpark of $180 to $200. So not too bad. So overall, I have a $280 Strandberg copy guitar that I love playing. Matter of fact, I'm actually looking at getting a Gibson Explorer package, and I'm going to get a little higher model this time. This way I don't have to go too far into getting it prepped as far as routing and getting all that stuff done. But we'll see what's in the package for time and projects for that. But let's get to the guitar, and I'll walk you guys through what I did. So this is my Strattenberg copy, Muslady guitar, and it has a really cool finish to it. I wound up tweaking a couple of things on it, so let's talk about it. When you guys get this guitar, if you buy this particular model, do yourself a favor. Do it in two parts. So your neck will be one part and the body will be a whole nother. It just lets yourself focus on one thing at a time. As far as with this project, there's a couple concerns. So one, are the pickups decent? Well, they are very high. They are very touchy pickups, but they will work if you have a decent amp, decent setup. So I'm working through Helix, so I can do whatever I want, so I can get my sound. But I will tell you that these are very, very touchy pickups. A lot of people will change them out when they built this. Again, the goal in this was not to buy a whole bunch of alternate parts. It was just to get a kit and put it together. So they work, and I'm not too worried about them. The other concern was the neck and the bridge. So a lot of people have issues where the neck isn't seating right and it's not seating flush. It's actually leaning. The other problem people have is the bridge. So the bridge either is too high or it's not moved up all the way. So when the scale for this guitar is 24.5, if you're not hitting that mark, no matter what you do, you're never going to get this guitar intonated. So once I got it, that was the first thing, was to do the first initial sanding part on this guitar. So 320 grit over both parts. And then I put the neck away. I worked on this guitar, mainly hand tools. So 2x4, take a piece of sandpaper, staple it around each other, use that. Do not use power tools on this guitar. You will destroy the veneer on this thing immediately. It is too thin for you guys to use power tools. So hand tools only. Do yourself a favor, go on Amazon, go to Home Depot, AutoZone, whatever. Buy yourself the higher grit sandpaper. I'm talking 800 to 5,000 grit sandpaper. You're going to need it. I have pictures in the end of this video. Will show you how I adjusted the neck and how I adjusted the bridge. And I wound up dropping the bridge down twice. So initially I dropped it down to one spec, and then later toward the end of this build, I wound up noticing that I needed to drop it again. So I did drop it one more time to the point where the end of the base of the bridge is now touching the wood, which is where I think it needs to be, just to get that nice low intonation and to get the action. So if you guys see, this action is super thin and low. Where most of my guitars are. I usually play mine at the gauge of 10, between 10 and 11, just to get a nice beefy sound. So it is possible if you adjust the bridge on this guitar. So once you get the pickups out of the way, once you get the bridge and you get the neck set, be sure not to mess with the pocket too much. If you do your dry fit and everything fits nice, leave it alone. There is a thing where you can go too far and then you're left getting shims, and it's a whole nother set of problems. The pots, I don't have a problem with. The toggle switch, I want it putting right on the bridge. I have the volume down here, and then I have the tone right next to the bridge, because when I play, I can roll off this way. The next problem I had to figure out later on was the strap locks. So initially, a lot of people put them on the back. I have a Jackson, and when I play that Jackson, the strap's in the back, and it wants to tip forward. So I decided to put the one on the horn, and right where the bridge is, I put it right there. And so the easiest way to do it is, when you're having it sit, put the straps around you, and then figure out where it's most comfortable, and where the strap's not going to interfere with you playing the guitar. As far as the bridge is concerned, I have no problem with it. So a lot of people were posting that the bridge, the saddles, you can't move. They're too rigid. And so they were telling people to sand the sides of the saddle so you can move them. Don't do that. So on this one, there is a screw on the, there's an Allen key right here on the side. And what you do is you unscrew that Allen key, and it basically takes off the tension on this bridge, and then you can move your saddles individually. You either move them all at once or not at all. And so when you're done moving them, you tighten that key back up. If you remove that material, you will never get the saddles tight, and then you'll have a problem. There is another model out there, and I'm sure it's great, but I don't have a problem with this. I always get it sitting flush, and I always get the tuning set right. I did take my time and get the intonation set here, and I did post a video on it. Or I'm sorry, I posted a blog about it in a guitar forum. They're my measurements. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're your measurements, but I got it to where I'm within maybe 2 cents of 440, so not too bad. The neck, I did modify the neck. So you'll notice if you get your kit, there's the shoe horn right here. I wound up sanding that all the way back to the body, and then on the lower end of this neck, I curved that sanding so I can nicely fit around it. I initially wanted to get rid of this little hub on the back of the body. What I noticed was that the screw has length, and it's exactly to the fretboard. So I don't want to screw with trying to get the screws too long or too short, so I just left it alone. The frets, not actually that bad. Once you polish them up, I did take a crowning fret to them, 2 passes to get it nice. I didn't have to level mine. Some people do. I haven't had to do that yet. But I did notice this had a 0 fret. I've never had one as before, but I know that they are a high topic of discussion and they are a pain in the butt. My zero fret was higher than all of the other ones. I'm not sure if that's how they're supposed to be set, but it did pose a problem with getting a nice intonation or in getting some playing style onto this. After some bit of discussion with a good friend of mine, I wound up taking out the zero fret, and if you can see, I installed an actual Graphite Tech nut. So right where the fret is, that is where the end of the zero fret was. So I removed the wood backwards, put in the Graph Tech nut on the actual metal piece. I took a Dremel tool and took off the teeth. That would be where the nut is sitting. And then just took my time measuring out all the strings to make sure it's even. Not only to the top E, but the bottom E, which is important with getting this set. Once I did that, I didn't really have an issue with getting everything set up. It does play quite nice. I'm still getting it to the point where I like the intonation set, and that's just playing different styles and different ways I'm playing this particular guitar. So I am getting this quite low. Like I said, I got the gauge setting to the playing action to about 10 and a half. And I'm quite happy with it. The neck, I wound up not staining at all, and including the maple. I just took gunstock oil and did like 7 to 12 finishes on the back, and I did about 12 on the maple neck, just to make sure that it was fully protected. I think this stands out pretty nice with a clean maple and a dark body. Aside from that, I didn't have to adjust this too much. Once I got it going, it was pretty much just take your time on electronics, which there are very little electronics. Maps on how to wire whatever you want to wire on this one. If you go to StewMac, they have wiring diagrams, which is what I used for this. It is for 2 pickups, 3 toggle switch, 1 volume, 1 tone. That volume setup is how I got this guitar wired up. And I will tell you that the one thing in that manual that you get in this kit, it does not show you wiring. It also doesn't tell you to drill the grounding wire hole for this bridge. If you do not drill a grounding wire hole for this bridge and get a ground wire to this, you will have an open ground. And no matter what you do when you play, it will sound like crap. So I did ground the bridge out with a screw. I tried soldering it to no avail. It just wouldn't stick. So I wound up just taking one of the screws, wrapped a grounding wire around it, and then screwed it down so there's a nice tight ground to it. The other thing I noticed with this, the pickup rings that come with it, they do slant. I don't know why. When you install the bridge and I installed the neck, the damn things are flat. So having them on a slant basically had the edge of the pickup nearest the strings nearest the pole, so they weren't even getting full direct contact. So the next was slightly angled, but the bridge was very angled, so I was getting almost no contact with the poles. Wound up tossing those pieces of crap out, and went on Amazon and got some metal thin rings. Put those in, and it's been a lifesaver. It fits perfectly. Alright guys, I believe I have babbled enough on this guitar. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to pictures that I took along the progress of this build. It'll show staining, the routing procedures, the sanding, all that fun stuff. So if you have questions and you want to build this particular guitar, message me and let me know. I'll help you out if you guys get into trouble. Like I said, there's only a couple things that I had a problem with. The only thing that's left on this project is painting this black. The ABS plastic that came with this was actually bent, so I just took some pine wood and cut the exact outlining of this guitar. So I'm going to paint that black unless I can get this tinted the same tint. Aside from that, this project's done. I'm slowly doing updates on this guitar to the intonation. I probably at one point in time might switch out the pickups if I choose to. And that'll be pretty cool later on down the road. But for right now, it's doing all right. It's earning its keep in my place. And so, yeah, if you guys have questions, let me know. Other than that, we're going to end this video with some pictures. See you guys later.